Facebook and Tumblr fans? It's time yet again for another new release and review, and this time we're going to be covering Avenged Sevenfold's new album entitled Hail to the King. So, basically, if you haven't been following me for very long, I reviewed their title track about a month ago or so when it came out as the lead single, and I was a little bit disappointed with it. I found it to be a little monotonous, a little boring, repetitive, but the guitar work was alright, so whatever. The vocals were a bit off-key, and, I was kind of worried for this album's future. Now that it's actually leaked, now that we can actually listen to it and judge for ourselves, I'm more 50-50 on it. I'm more mixed, It's not as good as their previous stuff, in my personal opinion, but it does have its own merits. It took me a while to actually get into it and understand what they were doing. I actually reviewed it once before, but, I was kind of more so negative on it. So I kind of just re-reviewed it. So this is basically my second take on that. Maybe I'll show you guys sometime, but maybe not. Anyways, getting into the actual album itself, there are a lot of different influences stemming from hard rock to traditional heavy metal, and even some Metallica influences thrown in there, such as on This Means War. The riff kind of sounds a little bit like Sad But True, not to the point where it's a complete blatant ripoff, but more so in the timing and the pacing of the riff, not so much the actual riff itself. So there's a lot of different various influences in here, and variety. That's the key word with this one. Sometimes it just seems like it's thrown together at random, but other times it fits perfectly. So like I said, I'm a bit mixed on the album. It's not exactly, a top contender for best album of the year, and it's certainly not the best by Avenged Sevenfold standards, but it does stand on its own ground. It does hold its own water, basically. So, Shepherd of Fire, the first track, has a decent start. It's not really one of the most memorable intros, per se, but the actual guitar work itself is very well put out. It's very promising, very heavy, and it packs a punch. Then you get into the vocals and the structure of the song, and the structure sounds almost exactly like Hail to the King, the title track. So, there's that, but as far as the actual song goes, I'm kind of mixed towards it. I don't really hate it. I don't really like it. It's not the worst song on the album, by far, actually, but it does hold its own water. So the next one is Hail to the King, of course, the title track, and you guys already basically know what I think of it. Good intro, very promising start, and then kind of drags on into wherever, and kind of gets old fast. So the next one, Doing Time, it's kind of a filler track, not really my favorite one. It's not really that memorable is the problem. There's not really that much influence from other things, such as, Iron Maiden or Metallica or, heavy metal, hard rock, whatever. They said it was going to sound a little bit like Led Zeppelin, and I'm not really seeing it. So Doing Time is probably the least influenced song on here, so it kind of seems like, just a filler track. The next one is This Means War, one of my favorite songs on here. The pacing sounds exactly like Sad But True. I don't know if I've actually said that yet, but it does sound like Sad But True. The riff itself, however, does not. It's just all in the timing and the pacing of the actual song that gives off that vibe. I look at it as more of a tribute, and just the way he belts out those lyrics, and, M Shadows definitely gives it his all in this song. One of my favorites. It's a very heavy song. It's a very slower and just intense song. So, while not being too aggressive. So, the next one is Requiem, and when I first listened to this, I was just thinking, what the fuck is this? Like, there's this opera singing that comes out of nowhere and just disappears and doesn't really fit into the rest of the song. So you're just sitting there wondering, like, what? It's a slower song. It's a little bit more aggressive than This Means War, but not as intense. Definitely not as intense. The next one is Crimson Day. Didn't really like it. It sounded like M Shadows, was using auto-tune throughout the entire song. And I didn't really like the clean intro too much. It sounded too hollow for me, the guitars did. And that leads us into Heretic. This is another one where, I like the chorus, and I liked how he sings it, and the guitar work and soloing are just I almost said subpar, but they're awesome. They are really good in this song. The next one is Coming Home, my favorite song on here, probably, tied with This Means War. Really like this song. I really like the intro. It's really reminiscent of something off, say, The Final Frontier by Iron Maiden. It just really gives off that just Maiden vibe. I don't know what else to say. I love the way he sings the chorus, and just the way they go into it in general, just the song structure, the overall, just how heavy it is, and just basically everything. The next one is Planets, and you know, one of the ending songs, and you can definitely hear some traditional heavy metal in there. I really like the guitar work as well as the soloing. So, not so much a big fan of the vocals, but at least the lyrics are good too. So, the next one is the closer, which is Acid Rain, and this is the longest track on the album, and it is a 6 minute and 36-second long epic. It's an awesome song, great way to close off the album, but when it comes down to does it actually make up for the bad songs on the album, in my personal opinion, eh. Like I said, I'm 50-50. I actually reviewed this before, where I kind of tore it apart a little bit, but hey, I probably didn't know what I was talking about. Actually, no, I didn't know what I was talking about, because, yeah. As far as the rest of the album goes, I'm probably gonna give it, 7.5, 8-ish, because I do appreciate what they were going for, what Avenged Sevenfold was trying to accomplish with this, and it took a while, but it actually did grow on me. So, like I said, This Means War, Coming Home, Planets, Acid Rain, hell, even Heretic, even though I said, I only really like the chorus that much, are still awesome songs. They're very solid songs. And like I said, even the songs that aren't so solid have elements from really great bands, really great styles. And like the guitar work, for example, on Shepherd of Fire is very good. It's very heavy. It's very traditional. It's very just crunchy. And, while I might not like the structure, I do like elements from that song. So, probably give it, 7.5, 8 out of 10, somewhere in there. Not really sure which one. Probably, like, 7.5, yeah. We'll go with 7.5 out of 10. So, that's basically all I have to say. Decent album. I would only really recommend it for the hardcore fans and fans of, say, just traditional heavy metal and hard rock. So, it's basically the band's Black Album. It's not, put up on that legendary status quo like the Black Album is. It's not as good as the Black Album. So, but it does really remind me of that, and it has that feel to it. So with that, this is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.